சார் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிடலாம்.
அனைவருக்கும் மாலை வணக்கம். எழுத்தறிவு வித்தவன் இறைவன் ஆவான் எனும் குறிப்பிற்கேற்ற பலரின் வாழ்வில் அறிவு விளக்கேற்றிய அனைத்து பேராசிரியர் பெருமக்களுக்கும் ஆசிரியர் பெருமக்களுக்கும் என் இனிய ஆசிரியர் தின நல்வாழ்த்துக்கள். இன்று நமது SACS-WEBINAR பொறியியல் கல்லூரி சேனலில் எஃபெக்டிவ் டீச்சிங் டெக்னிக்ஸ் டூரிங் COVID-19 என்ற தலைப்பில் சிறப்புரையாற்ற நம்மோடு இணைப்புள்ள பேராசிரியர் திரு ராஜா கோவிந்தராஜன் அவர்களையும் தன் ஈடில்லா உழைப்பில் உயர்ந்திருக்கும் நமது SACS-WEBINAR பொறியியல் கல்லூரியின் தாளாளர் மற்றும் பொதுச் செயலாளர் திரு ஜி கணேசன் ஐயா அவர்களையும் இந்நிகழ்ச்சிக்கு வரவேற்கிறேன். மேலும் இந்நிகழ்ச்சியின் வரவேற்புரை ஆற்றிட நமது கல்லூரியின் பொதுச் செயலாளர் மற்றும் தாளாளர் திரு ஜி கணேசன் ஐயா அவர்களை அழைக்கிறேன்.
நன்றி பிரின்சிபல் சார். அனைவருக்கும் இனிய மாலை வணக்கங்கள். ஒழுக்கம், ஆற்றல், பண்பு, விடாமுயற்சி, பொது அறிவு என அனைத்தையும் மாணவர்களுக்கு சிறந்த முறையில் கற்பித்து ஒரு உண்மையான வழிகாட்டியாக விளங்குபவர்கள் ஆசிரியர்கள். அப்படிப்பட்ட ஆசிரியர்களுக்கு நன்றி செலுத்தும் வகையில் செப்டம்பர் 5 ஆசிரியர் தினமாக கொண்டாடப்படுகிறது. ஒரு நல்ல ஆசிரியராக தமது இறுதி காலம் வரை வாழ்ந்து காட்டி மாபெரும் தத்துவ மேதையாக விளங்கிய டாக்டர் சர்வப்பள்ளி ராதாகிருஷ்ணன் அவர்களின் பிறந்த நாளையே இந்தியா முழுவதும் ஆசிரியர் தினமாக கொண்டாடுகின்றோம். சுந்தர், யாரோ லேடி இருக்கு சுந்தர், அது சரி பண்ண பாருங்க. சுந்தர், எல்லாத்தையும் மீட் போடுங்க பண்ணுங்க. ராஜா சாருக்கு மட்டும் வச்சுக்கோங்க. இச்சிறந்த நாளில் உங்கள் அனைவரையும் SACS-WEBINAR பொறியியல் கல்லூரியின் தாளாளர் மற்றும் செயலாளர் என்ற முறையில் பெருமிதமும் மற்றும் நமது SACS-WEBINAR பொறியியல் கல்லூரி பேராசிரியர் அனைவருக்கும் எனது மனமாற உலங்கணிந்த ஆசிரியர் தின வாழ்த்துக்களை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். மேலும் நம்முடைய அழைப்பை ஏற்று தன்னுடைய இந்த பிஸி ஷெட்யூலில் நமக்கு இன்று நம்முடைய ஆசிரியர்களிடையே மாணவர்களிடையே உரையாற்ற வந்திருக்கும் நண்பர் என்று சொல்லலாம். ஏன்னா நிறைய நான் அவரோட ஃபேஸ்புக் ஃப்ரெண்டு ஆல்சோ. அதனால் ராஜா கோவிந்தசாமியை பற்றி சொல்ல வேண்டிய அவசியமே இல்லை. இருந்தாலும் ஃபார்மலாக அவரை பற்றி ஒரு முன்னோட்டம். சார் கல்வியியல் ஆலோசகர், வாழ்க்கை திறன் பயிற்சியாளர், தன்னார்வலர், முன்னாள் முதல்வர், துறை தலைவர், ஆங்கிலத்தில் தேராஜா கல்லூரி மதுரையில் இருந்துள்ளார். இயக்குநராக மன்னர் திருமலை நாயக்கர் கல்லூரி மதுரையில் இருந்துள்ளார். ரோட்டரி பட்டதாரி அறிஞர் 1979-80 ஓகியோ மாநில பல்கலைக்கழகம் அமெரிக்காவில் இருந்துள்ளார். சர்வதேச ஜேசி பயிற்றுனர், வாழ்நாள் உறுப்பினர், ஜூனியர் சேம்பர் இன்டர்நேஷனல், முன்னாள் தேசிய தலைவர் JCI 1991, ரோட்டரி உறுப்பினர், முன்னாள் தலைவர் ரோட்டரி கிளப் மதுரை மேற்கு, உறுப்பினர், நிறுவன நெறிமுறைகள் அரவிந்த் கண் மருத்துவமனை மதுரை. டாக்டர் இறையன்பு IAS அவர்களுடன் இணைந்து +2 மாணவர்களுக்காக வழிகாட்டி மற்றும் ஆலோசகராக பணியாற்றியவர். பயிற்றுனர், கம்யூனிகேஷன், மோட்டிவேஷன், இன்டர்பர்சனல் ரிலேட்டிவ் அண்ட் லீடர்ஷிப். ஆசிரியர், அரவிந்த் இன்ஸ்டிடியூட் ஃபார் கம்யூனிட்டி ஆப்தமாலஜி. வானொலி மற்றும் தொலைக்காட்சியில் நிகழ்ச்சி வழங்கியுள்ளார். இத்தனை பெருமைகளுக்கு சொந்தக்காரர் நம்மிடையே இன்று உரையாற்ற வந்திருப்பது, அதுவும் குறிப்பாக இந்த ஆசிரியர் தினத்தில் ஒரு ஆசிரியர் நம்மிடையே கலந்து கொண்டு நம் SACS-WEBINAR பொறியியல் கல்லூரியில் நமக்கு ஒரு சிறப்பான இந்த நிகழ்வினை நடத்தி கொடுப்பதற்கு வந்திருக்கக்கூடிய அன்பு இனிய நண்பர், ரோட்டரியின் செல்லப்பிள்ளை திரு ராஜா கோவிந்தசாமி அவர்களை நம்முடைய ரோட்ராக்ட் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் உடைய பிரசிடென்ட் மற்றும் செக்ரட்டரி, நம்முடைய கல்லூரியின் கோஆர்டினேட்டர் திரு விக்னேஷ் பாபு அனைவரும் அவர்களை நம்முடைய கல்லூரி சார்பாக என் சார்பாக அவர்களை மரியாதை செய்யுமாறு லைவாக கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறேன். உங்க சைடு யார் சைடுல சவுண்டு கேட்டுட்டே இருக்கு? யார் இருக்கா?
அமுதா மேம், உங்க செல்ல கொஞ்சம் மியூட் பண்ணுங்க. அமுதா மேம் கைண்ட்லி மியூட் யுவர் ஆடியோ.
நன்றி. தொடர்ந்து நம்முடைய முதல்வர்கள் நடத்துமாறு கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறேன். நன்றி.
வணக்கம் செயலாளர் அவர்களே. இன்று நம்முடைய சிறப்புரையாற்ற காத்திருக்கும் பேராசிரியர் திரு ராஜா கோவிந்தராஜன் அவர்களை எஃபெக்டிவ் டீச்சிங் டெக்னிக்ஸ் டூரிங் COVID-19 என்ற தலைப்பில் பேச அழைப்பதில் பெருமகிழ்ச்சி அடைகிறேன்.
ஓகே சார். Okay, shall we start?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The screen sharing வர மாட்டேங்குது.
வந்துச்சு சார். வந்துருச்சு. கரெக்டா இருக்கு.
இந்த screen sharing right, correct. Respected Secretary of the College, beloved Principal, fellow teachers, President and Secretary of the Referent Club of SACS-WEBINAR Engineering College, good evening and happy Teachers' Day. I am very delighted to be among you today because it's Teachers' Day, which is common to all of us. Today is also the birthday of VOC, the man who initiated our navigation efforts towards the self-sufficiency for India, and also the Memorial Day for Mother Teresa. So it's a 3-in-1 program, but principally as teachers, we need to celebrate the day among ourselves. And we are very doubly happy that the Referent Club of the college has thought it fit to organize the program. They are behind me. Arjunan, the president, Nagarajan, the secretary, and Vignesh of the mechanical engineering department, who is the coordinator. As a Rotarian, I'm very happy. I want to tell all the teachers that this is the first year in the 115 years of service of Rotary that it has accommodated the Referent as another type of membership. So in any meeting, our common salutation is fellow Rotarians and Referenters. So in our district, we are 5,000 plus members. With another 1,000 plus Referent members, our strength of Rotary is 6,786. And in this 6,786, a membership strength of Referent Club of SACS-WEBINAR College is part of it. So this college is giving us a membership strength and the major support, for which we thank the college management and the staff members. Thank you very much. Very great. I thought I could share with you some of my experiences working with engineering colleges all over Tamil Nadu, because I work with the teachers on basics of how effective we could be as teachers. And that is what Vignesh also conveyed to me. And there is nothing much new that I'm going to tell you today, because as engineering college teachers who are so well versed in information communication technology, I'm sure you have now kept yourself abreast of the latest developments. But there are some basics I thought which I can borrow from sociology and then bring these points to bear upon our functioning as teachers. So I put up a small slideshow. And the slideshow is here. And I have called it the teacher power. I hope you can see my slide.
Yes, sir.
The
F5.
Yeah, F5 போயிரலாம்ல. அந்த தொட்டி இருக்குல்ல. Sorry, I got it, but I forgot because for a moment. I thought of speaking about teacher power and bring our teaching skill under this title. I think all of us like this power because we enjoy a sense of power, and that power is because of our responsibility. And how do you distinguish the word response plus ability? In a classroom, our response is to the text and with the students. And the response with the students, because of our competence in analyzing the text, marks our ability. So naturally, we always enjoy a sense of power in the classroom. When I passed my master's at Tyagaraja and came first in the college, I was very ambitious to be a teacher. At the same time, I was offered a few managerial positions in other business firms, which I declined because I thought I would be the most powerful man in a classroom. And for the last 45 years, I have enjoyed this power. And today, when I read about 700 essays of school students on Teachers' Day, wherein they have all said, technology can never replace a teacher because the teacher can use technology, which is additional intelligence, but technology may have intelligence, but it doesn't have the consciousness that you see in a human being, especially in a teacher. It is because of that special consciousness that we recognize our students, we recognize our fellow teachers, we recognize every other societal responsibilities amidst perhaps poor social recognition or inadequate emoluments or small emoluments. But then as nation builders, we continue to feel happy. And I want to thank all the teachers of SACS-WEBINAR Engineering College for the way in which you have maintained the college, the upkeep of the college. The college may have infrastructure. The college may have an administrative system, but the college's major soul is only in the presence of a large number of students and a major number of teachers, which is why I have titled my program Teacher Power. And I have borrowed this from a book actually. So let me explain before that as to what does it mean. It means the influence a teacher exerts on students by virtue of his/her commitment and competence. Peter Drucker always said the 20th century is an age of knowledge workers. And whether you agree with the knowledge abilities of others or not, all of us are knowledge workers. Swami Vivekananda once said, individuality is my motto. My uniqueness as a teacher trainer is my motto. Individuality is my motto. I have no other ambition beyond training individuals up. That was his national mission. I think when you appropriate it to our own work in the classroom, in the department, and in the college, individuality is our motto. We have no other ambition beyond teaching and training and empowering our children. So the influence we exert on students by virtue of our commitment and competence, especially in the last 5 months when we have been unable to meet them, and yet managed to work with them through our online classes, I know how much of exertion you would have undergone in order to make your classes very lively. Because the latest viewership mechanism says, beyond 10 minutes, nobody wants to watch or listen to anybody, unless you bring in some energizing factor. Perhaps that is the reason why, taking advantage of this kind of sense of boredom that could come in, all the serials have commercial breaks. Nevertheless, this kind of a quality in a teacher ensures a leadership status to the teacher. The teacher as a dealer of hope, the leader as a dealer of hope among the students. Last week, I read a BBC news in which about 5 or 6 students who have engineering degrees have joined a parota making training center called the Selfie Parota Making Center Training Center in Pudur. And the boys very unashamedly answered, now that I am free because of the COVID pandemic and I have no other prospects for my engineering qualification, let me make the best use of an opportunity. And these boys said, because I get 800 rupees per evening for making a parota, I have undergone training in this Selfie Parota Training Center, and in a month I make 24,000 rupees, which is not the money that I may get as an engineering employee. And he only said, this is only a short gap arrangement. And I liked that resourcefulness of that boy, not just one boy, but many others. Now, in the bargain, he says, I could become somebody with an entrepreneurial skill. And this entrepreneurial skill or managerial skill or catering skill with my engineering expertise would make me more ready to face eventualities of life. I now understand as to what amount of strain you would undergo as you prepare yourself to teach such students. And that's why I want to thank you once again and say, I'm the master in my class and you're the leader in the class. And that leadership status comes to you because the teacher enjoys power in 5 ways, as I have appropriated from this famous book, J.R.B. French and B. Raven's book, The Basis of Social Power. In any societal organization, in any such organization, it could be not just education, but any social-based organization, there are 5 ways by which somebody can enjoy power. And what are those powers? How am I appropriating them for our own classroom effective teaching is my concern now in the next 15 minutes. Let me start and convey to you as to what are the 5 forms of power. Let me start from the left part. And if you put these 5 stars and the 5 angles, and the left middle angle, the legitimate power, which means I hold the formal right to make demands. And then, of course, on the right, you have the reward power. You have the ability to compensate for compliance. When a student complies with what all you ask him to do, you say congratulations, you say great going, or you give him a small gift, or maybe you give him a certificate, or maybe you recommend him to some place, and that's the reward power you enjoy. And when the student does not take to water, as you want the hearts to take to water when he goes to the pond, and he doesn't go there, what do? The hearts. You put some salt into the oats that you feed the hearts with, so that it becomes parched, and extending its tongue, it runs to the water. What do you mean here? You coerce the hearts to go to the water and have the drinking water. So the teacher has coercive power. And so you enjoy a coercive power. I don't mean that you take it to the moment, to the matter of discipline and punishment, The punishment comes much later, and perhaps the punishment doesn't happen at all. These are such different categories of youth. And so many of us only in middle age and even less than the middle age. There should not be an intergenerational gap in our classroom or outside the classroom, because the teacher, irrespective of age, is a youthful person in mental makeup, if not in physical appearance. And so the teacher enjoys the coercive power. And the next two, the expert power is the specialization. And behind me is Vignesh, who is a specialization, whose specialization is mechanical engineering. And there are occasions where your specialization will merge with another department where it becomes interdisciplinary. And the referent is how you are perceived in society as somebody important, somebody who can be sought after, somebody worthy, and somebody who has competence to be respected. Referent power. And sometimes you go to a court and look for somebody who can argue your case with regard to taxes, and somebody says GST na aur orthar da. So that kind of I wanted to explain one by one. The first power is legitimate power by virtue of your designation and on the basis of your qualification. You've got an appointment order, you have advanced academically through research and also through other activities and enhanced your teaching skills, and naturally you have a legitimate power. You say, I'm a teacher, I'm a master of my subject. So the first is the legitimate power. You enter the campus every day because you wear your tag and you feel you are a professor or an assistant professor or an associate professor, and you have a right to enter the class and speak at length on a subject of your choice with such mastery, with such conviction, and with such force, and with such humorous references that people are able to listen to you, no matter if their attention is after 10 minutes. And then you know how to bring them back because you are very skilled in detecting the attention focus of the student. So that's one power. And the second is reward power, which enables the teacher to assess and appreciate student performance. Believe me, you know it pretty well that today students expect the teachers to recognize them, appreciate them, goad them, nudge them, edge them, and give them all kinds of pressures and also recognitions by which they are able to come up gradually. So these are some of the techniques you always enforce in a classroom. And when you say, and when I was a student in the US, every week I must turn in a paper, typed paper, 4 pages, 6 pages. And once I said, I'm sorry, I will be late. Then he said, you won't be marked at all. The deadline is a deadline. And some people tell us the deadline is a lifeline. So you can't cross it unnecessarily. You must fulfill your need. So you enjoy that power and give it to the students by way of your appreciation, by way of your encouragement. And so many of us here are also used to giving them some cash incentive as well from our own pocket, unmindful of the expenditure that you incur in it. And I want to thank you for that. Look at the third power is the coercive power, which empowers the teacher to nudge and pressurize the student to move away from ignorance, indifference, and inhibition to interest, intelligence, and improvement. அறியாமை, அக்கறையின்மை, சங்கோஜத்தில் இருக்கிறான். அவனே ஆசைப்படுதல், அவனுக்கு புத்திசாலித்தனம் தருதல், முன்னேற்றம் அமைத்தல். 3 I's in the first category, 3 I's in the second category. So this is something that we continue to do. This is how we use our discipline wisely. And the coercive power is the kind of pressure you exert on him, the deadlines that you teach him. And by bringing examples as to what happens when you work with a bank, and you give a check, and if there is a shortage of fund, the bank automatically sends back the check and also deducts a penalty. You can't go to the bank and say, sir, I am just depositing money in another 15 minutes. No. Because it's mechanized, automated, digitized, it automatically happens. And so what happens? There is a coercive power which the banks enjoy when they say, if you open a bank account, keep as much balance for your operation so that when you issue a check, we can honor the check. So the banks also coerce us. When your check is not valid after 3 months, I went to the bank on the 90th day, and the bank clerk said, sir, not only will I deduct penalty, but even the other person who is going to receive the check, that bank also will deduct penalty, because 3 months means 90 days, including all the holidays, etc. You are on the 91st day, because in between 1 month had 31 days. So suddenly I found that when I don't meet the deadline, I am in trouble. That is a slight pressure we need to exert on our students. And depending on the classroom, depending on the kind of group and the year in which the students are, you know how to work it out. Yesterday I was reading a short story, Old Love, where two students of Oxford, so intelligent, the tutor always set one against the another, pressurized the one against the another, that they always stood as first in the class too. Of course, I understand the kind of trouble we will have to undergo, the kind of sometimes even humility we will face, the very humiliation we will face with our students, but our struggle continues. This is something that we need to work on. That's why I said the fourth is expert power, the most important power by which the teacher establishes his or her stature as a mastermind, as a specialist. It is because of this specialized knowledge of yours that your student knows his career prospects and his problems in order to pass, and also in order to develop some such skills by which he could be a technocrat as well as an entrepreneur. Some of the students who passed engineering joined ICWAI to become a cost accountant, because they said their engineering college professor had advised them, if some of you want to become entrepreneurs, it is better you understand how you are going to manage cost and profit so that the bottom line is safe for you. So you now understand how our teacher, because of their expertise, can guide our students in such respects by which they branch off from engineering to cost accountancy and merge the two in order to be a manager in charge of a factory, technically, financially, and of course, in terms of human resources understanding. That is why some of these engineering graduates do MBA for human resource development, and a few others also do Master of Social Work, because the social work enables people to understand people behavior. Animal behavior has been classified, has been researched, thanks to zoology, thanks to many other experts in biotechnology. But human behavior continues to be unpredictable, which is why your specialization, both as a human resource empowerer or both as a human resource developer and also as a subject expert, does make a certain importance in the class. Let me proceed to the fifth. Sorry, one moment, I'm sorry. In any of our presentations, I'm coming to the classroom as well as the virtual classroom now. And in an online classroom where students could be somewhat indifferent, you need to convey it with special emphasis. So I wanted to convey to you, irrespective of the subject you handle, content, diction, and voice are important. I will tell it by an example. About 15 years ago, Professor Hamid Khan, who is a specialist in stem cells research, came from the US to deliver a lecture on medicine to the students of the medical college at Chennai. He spoke for 3 hours. It was reported in the Hindu next day. He kept them spellbound. How did he manage to convey his subject? He peppered his talk with interesting facts and stories, so that the story element, because of its strong narration, made everybody sit up and feel inclined towards the speaker and listen to him because of the voice of the man, the words that he chose, and the content, which matters much more than diction and voice. But sometimes we have such a strong content, but a very weak voice, or we use such faulty English. Or if you don't want to speak more and more of oral presentation by which your English faultiness would be detected, better tell less and show more. Or make them do in the lab, so that your demonstrations and thereafter your request to them to work in the lab could make them understand how you are going to use your expertise in 3 areas: telling, showing, and doing as a class teacher. So in this case, it is showing and telling, especially telling, how my content, diction, and voice are very important. Professor Hamid Khan mentioned that he learned this storytelling tradition by which he could convey the subject from his chemistry classes when he studied under a famous professor. Hello, friends. Don't you now understand that engineering classes also are as much like the medical college classes, where also there is a teacher who has to talk in such interesting manner using the content, the diction, and the voice, so that the subject is heard, so that the subject is grasped, so that the subject is registered, so that he can recollect in the exam hall, in an interview, and deliver orally or in writing. This is the power. This is the voice of the teacher, that when the student gets stuck in an examination hall, unable to, feeling very clueless, suddenly he recalls the classroom, your own presence, and your voice may come reverberating in his mind, and he gets the idea, thumbs the table, and writes the answer. Such is the power. That's why I conveyed it to you. The depth of knowledge is revealed in the content. The content is communicated effectively through appropriate words and voice. Voice plays a major role in classroom communication. It can be further classified as follows. Please do not think it's only the language teachers who must have a voice. So many of our students, so many of your students understood functional English only because the subject teacher who teaches the subject in English medium speaks better English. So damn hell with the English teacher in the college. He speaks English in the classroom only 4 hours a week. But all the subjects, engineering subjects, are taught in English medium. Naturally, English as a functional language, English as a life skill for the student to empower himself, herself, and speak and write better in order to espouse himself, in order to do self-marketing. I strongly believe subject teachers whose English is much better in terms of pitch, volume, tone, and pace, they are definitely going to be more effective. And especially in online classroom teaching, please make sure your pitch, your voice frequency, the volume and the tone, the affectionate tone, or the concerned tone and the pace. You can't be an express speaker. You can't be also a monotone speaker. You can't be also a statue speaker even in a classroom. You can't be also a bookworm speaker reading from the text as if you do not want to face the audience. An effective teacher makes the best use of his voice, and in an online classroom that's going to continue perhaps for another 2 months, your eye contact is a must. And your body language as you gesticulate among the students in your presentation does enhance your talk. Fine, here is what I have conveyed, the whole thing in a diagram, because you're the people who go more and more into graphics, and this is my ability, small contribution. as to how I'm the vocal delivery. What are the things? The volume, the pace, the pause, the articulation, the pitch, the pronunciation, and the tone. I'm not asking you for the standard pronunciation. There is a universal pronunciation now, which is so basic, and all Indians are capable of it. And you go to Punjab, or you go to Kerala, or you go to Bihar, or you go to Uttar Pradesh, some of these places, the English is so different. But if you can make sense out of it, it's enough. And that's how global English is now understood. In fact, we have the term Englishes, the Australian English. And when the fellow came to India, I asked him, how are you? When did you come? And when I went to Australia and landed, did you come to die? Because the pronunciation of today in Australia is to die. I was shocked. So don't worry about all these salutations, greetings, sweet nothings. Your subject matter conveyed in beautiful English or tolerable English is something that enhances the grasp of the student. His comprehension level does make a better sense. And that's why the fifth, the last one, is the referent power, a sequel to the fourth. I'm working with the clock right to my left, so I'm mindful of the time. The fifth is a referent power, which is a sequel to the fourth, which means that the teacher is referred to as a role model for the students to emulate him or her. These powers make an English teacher an academic leader. Friends, late Abdul Kalam ji, our former president, spoke of a program called PURA, provision of urban facilities in rural areas. Long years ago, before he had come into contact with P.V. Indiresan, the former director of IIT, P.V. Indiresan had conveyed to all of us in an article in the Hindu. He said, shift focus from urban to rural, provide indigenous technology, and focus on job-oriented education. When Abdul Kalam came up with this PURA, provision of urban facilities in rural areas, this is what he conveyed. Look at how from P.V. Indiresan, this engineering man took up that concept and enlarged it into a national program. Such is the power of the teacher, because of which each teacher enjoys a referent power. That these powers make an English teacher, I had prepared it for an English class, make an engineering teacher an academic leader. Tonight, when you go back, please go to Google and search for Professor Goldberg. He is a professor of general engineering in a university in America. And he has written a book, Leadership and Communication Skills for Engineering. And the last chapter is titled, Technical Skills plus Life Skills is equal to Engineer. Technical skills plus life skills is equal to engineer. So, although you're going to teach only technical things in your classroom, your behavior, your overview, your interesting references to what is going on currently in technology, etc., makes him feel my teacher knows much more than what is conveyed in the syllabus, because he's got the latest in science and technology, because he is doing so much research, he reads the latest journals, and he updates himself. Remember the famous maxim, one who graduates today and stops learning tomorrow is uneducated the day after tomorrow. Such being the case, during moments of this kind of concern, let's make it interesting by way of updating our own knowledge, by way of updating our own competence in a classroom teaching skill, so that we can be better teachers and we can also enjoy that referent power that I spoke on. Two more power levels of a leader have been identified, which can also be attributed to a teacher. They are information power and connection power. Teacher. Information power. This classified information. I still remember a story in which two English professors were recruited by the government of England in order to decode the submarine messages from Nazi Germany. And the professors were cryptographers. They were able to decode. They have the information power. Each of the teachers in a department will have some specialization. Collectively, that department enjoys a special power. இந்த விஷயத்தை இவங்களுக்கு நல்லா தெரியும். இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் பவர். அது மட்டும் இல்லை, எவ்வளவு தூரம் சொல்லணும், எவ்வளவு தூரம் டிஸ்க்ளோஸ் பண்ணணும், எவ்வளவு தூரம் அவனையே தேட வைக்கணும். Because as has been conveyed through a statement alleged to have been said by Galileo, teaching அப்படின்னா என்ன அர்த்தம்? Teaching does not mean thrusting in, but drawing out of the students. நம்ம ஆட்கள் எவ்வளவு சொன்னாலும் வெளியே வரமாட்டான். ஆனா சப்ஜெக்டிவா ஏதாவது பேசணும், காசிப்னா கூட வந்திருப்போம். இருந்தாலும் our struggle continues. If 10 of our students come back to us, it's fine. So one is information power and the other is connection power. இப்ப இந்த information power பத்தி the latest book that came from a historian, 21 lessons for the 21st century. அந்த bookல இந்த ஒரு statement படிச்சேன், written by Professor Yuval Noah Harari. In the 21st century, we are flooded by enormous amounts of information. In such a world, the last thing a teacher needs to give her pupils is more information. They already have far too much of it. People need the ability to make sense of information, to tell the difference between what is important and what is unimportant, and above all, to combine many bits of information into a broad picture of the world. இது ரொம்ப பிரமாதமான ஒரு விஷயம் என்பதனால நான் உங்களுக்கு இதை சொல்ல நினைச்சேன். To convey many bits of information as you gather the threads and tell them this is how this mechanism works and this is how this mechanism becomes an operable skills. And so today, people not only speak of literacy and numeracy, they also speak of another thing called operacy. இவனுக்கு இதை இப்படி ஆப்பரேட் பண்ணக்கூடிய புத்தி இருக்கிறதா என பார்க்கிறார்கள். So that the broad picture of the world comes. And lastly, information power in essence means that as a teacher, you are a storehouse of knowledge. அப்ப பையன் அப்படி நினைக்கணும், அடே அப்பா இத்தனை ஒன்று மண்டையில இவ்வளவு விஷயமா தெரிஞ்சிருக்கு நம்ம ப்ரொஃபஸருக்கு அப்படின்ட்டு. பல நேரங்களில் நமக்கு தெரியும், இப்ப இருக்கிற கான்ட்ரிபியூட்டரி பென்ஷன்ல, இபிஎஃப்ல கிடைக்கிற சம்பளத்துல இதையெல்லாம் நாம செய்யணுமா அப்படின்னா, வேற எந்த வேலைக்கு நாம இந்த வயசுக்கு அப்புறம் போக விருப்பப்படல, ஒருவேளை லாயக்கு இல்லை. So better that as teachers, when we continue here to be teaching the subjects, update ourselves and feel more happy so that you can look for greener pastures elsewhere with your higher competence and academic qualification. So only the connection power means the important links the teacher is able to make in the society because of his or exceptional academic leadership. உங்க பையனுக்கு ஒரு ரெக்கமெண்டேஷன் லெட்டர் அமெரிக்கால போறதுக்கு நீங்க கொடுப்பீங்க. ஒரு பையனை அங்க இருக்கிற அந்த வேலைக்கு நீங்க சொல்ல முடியும். அல்லது உங்கள்கிட்ட கேட்பாங்க, உங்கள்கிட்ட ஒரு 4 பையங்க இருந்தா எனக்கு கொடுங்க அப்படின்னு. If you enjoy that connection power because of your expert power and information power, then your exceptional academic leadership is a mark of your professorship, your own teaching specialization. So that being said, and that is why you are somebody knows all the people, connections இருக்கும். You know the institution, you know the industry, you know the media, you know the key public, etc. because of his or her prominence, preeminence as a teacher. ஒரு ஏதாவது ஒரு ஆள் வேலைக்கு வேணும்னா உங்கள்கிட்ட கேட்பாங்க, and you will be able to send your alumni for this program. அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு கனெக்ஷன் பவர் வர்ற அளவுக்கு என்னுடைய தகுதி வளர்க்கணும். Be a connector for someone today. What do you know that they need to know? Who do you know that they need to know? So now that's it. By constantly updating your knowledge, skills, and desire, the teacher can enjoy leadership status and play leadership roles both inside and outside the classroom. So let us explore further. இன்னும் நம்முடைய தேடல் தொடரட்டும். ஒவ்வொரு தேடலின் கடைசியில என்ன சொல்லுவோம்? கடைசியில இப்படித்தானான்னு சொல்லுவோம். இல்ல இல்ல, முதல்ல இருந்தே அதுதான் நமக்கு கடைசியா தெரிஞ்சிருக்கிறது. May your teaching career be an exceptionally great career I am aware of lot of difficulties we are facing, both in terms of our qualification, both in terms of our comforts, both in terms of our pay structure, etc., etc., etc. But then, having chosen to be here, let us make the best of our times in the college and be great teachers. I have another presentation to make, and hence the call has come, and hence I take leave of you. And thank you all very much for your patience. And thanks very much once again that on Teachers' Day, you thought it fit to listen to somebody from the arts side and not from the STEM, STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Thank you very much. Happy times ahead. Good evening, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Nandri, sir.
Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
And
sir.
it's a good thing. So will you permit me to leave? Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
ஒழுங்கா பேசுனா யாராவது சொல்லுங்க.
Sir, first class, sir. First class.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
இது effective teaching techniques during COVID-19 சிறப்புரையாற்றிய பேராசிரியர் திரு ராஜா குணராஜன்
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.